Welcome back to Things That Never Happened, the podcast where absolutely none of these stories are real, but somehow they still know your business. Tonight's story is called Nemesis, the evil genius trying to take over the YO universe. Now, fluff your pillow, silence your inner critic, and if your unresolved childhood issues begin speaking during this episode, please remind them that visiting hours are over. Let us begin. In a distant dystopian dimension known as the YO universe, every citizen was born with two versions of themselves. One lived above ground, the other lived below it. The version above ground paid bills, smiled politely, and told people they were fine. We're fine. I'm fine. The version below ground kept receipts. Every embarrassing moment, every betrayal, every time you smiled so big with confidence and had greenery in your teeth. Every argument you thought of a better comeback for 3 weeks later. Every mean thing somebody said in 6th grade, especially 6th grade. The underground version lived inside a massive city called Subcontia, where they spent their days filing emotional paperwork, plotting revenge against people who hadn't thought about them since 1998. The ruler of Subcontia was an evil genius, only known as Nemesis. Nemesis wore a black cape made entirely of old grudges. His throne was constructed from uncomfortable memories, and his headquarters sat atop Mount Delulia. Every morning he would address his followers. "Citizens of Delulia," he shouted. "The woman who laughed at your haircut in 7th grade must pay." The crowd cheered. "The cashier who embarrassed you in front of customers because your credit card declined a candy bar and a bag of chips must pay." Rather specific. The crowd cheered louder. "The guy who cut you off in traffic 3 years ago definitely must pay." The crowd entirely lost their minds. But there was one small problem. None of those people lived in the YO universe anymore. Most of them had moved on. Some didn't even remember the incident. Yet Nemesis kept them all imprisoned inside his mind. Meanwhile, above ground, the YO universe was falling apart. The Department of Joy was understaffed. The Ministry of Peace had gone bankrupt. The Bureau of Present Moments had been abandoned entirely, and for some reason, it was on fire. Every ounce of energy was being spent replaying old scenes that no longer mattered. One day, Nemesis unveiled his greatest invention yet. The what-if machine. A giant device capable of creating an unlimited number of imaginary disasters per minute. What if they don't like you? What if you fail? What if you embarrass yourself? What if everybody secretly hates you? What if you have greenery stuck in your teeth? The machine generated 27,000 scenarios per minute. Not one of them ever happened. The machine won several government awards. Eventually, however, reports began arriving from the surface of scenario ballots being stuffed. Citizens were exhausted. Creativity was disappearing. Dreams were being delayed, laughter was becoming endangered, and someone had to stop Nemesis. A hero was chosen, a warrior, a champion of sorts, a fearless protector of the YO universe. Unfortunately, the hero was also named Nemesis, but she pronounced it Nemesis, the right way. Alas, the shocking truth was revealed. There had never been two people. Only one. The villain and the hero were the same person. Nemesis wasn't trying to take over the world within. He, she, them, they were trying to control pain that hadn't even happened yet. And old wounds. Old fears. Old stories. The parts of themselves they'd locked underground because they felt too messy to face. For the first time, Nemesis descended into the deep chamber of Subcontia. There, he, she, they found a small child sitting alone. The child looked familiar. It was them. It was him. It was her. It was them. Before the disappointments, before the armor, before the grudges, before all the elaborate plans for the world domination took over, the child looked up and asked, Are we still mad about that thing? Nemesis paused. What thing? The child shrugged. I don't remember. And suddenly, neither did he. The giant machine shut down, the alarm stopped, the paperwork dissolved, the old ghosts evaporated like fog into sunlight. For years, Nemesis had believed she was fighting enemies. But the entire war had been taking place inside his or her own mind. He wasn't conquering the world at all. He was trying to conquer himself. But by avoiding himself, he caused quite a stir inside, indeed. And that realization changed everything. The cape of grudges fell from his shoulders, the throne of old memories crumbled into dust, and Mount Delulia became a public park where wildest dreams came true. The Department of Joy reopened. The Ministry of Peace hired new staff. The Bureau of Present Moments was finally operational, and the former evil genius took on a new job, gardener of the YO universe. His responsibility was simple: pull the weeds, keep the flowers, and stop feeding the monsters that only survived because you kept watering them. The citizens celebrated. The child smiled. And for the first time in many, many years, the hero and the villain went home together because they had always been the same. And that, my friends, was the story of Nemesis, the evil genius trying to take over the YO universe. Remember, these things never happened because they're not real, baby. Good night. Sayonara, aloha. It's Nova signing off.